High-value men are often seen as being arrogant and unfriendly, and they are notorious for ignoring women. Whether this is a subconscious decision or done intentionally as a way of dealing with the opposite sex, it seems to work like magic when it comes to attracting women. However, what is the psychology behind this behavior of ignoring women? High-value men are a mystery. These men are the reserved type that don't really say much, however when they do have something to say, it speaks volumes. They are men of independence and autonomy, with a preference of spending his time in solitude, or with a small group of close friends. He's not the type to seek out acceptance or approval from others. He's happy doing his own thing, and doesn't require anyone else to validate his self-worth. This independent streak is part of what makes these men so attractive to women. A high-value man's indifference towards women can also be looked at as a form of flirting. While he may not be intentionally trying to attract their attention, his actions and gestures can still be interpreted as an invitation for women to pursue him. This is why they often find themselves being chased after by women, even when they're not interested in them. While many people think that high-value men are simply playing hard to get, the reality is that these men just don't care that much about what women think of them. They're not trying to be distant or enigmatic on purpose. This is merely who they are. They're not trying to impress anyone, or trying to fit into someone else's idea of what a man should be. This cool as a cucumber attitude towards women often has the effect of making them more interested in them. Their indifference stimulates their curiosity, and makes them want to find out what they're really all about. The challenge of gaining their attention can be seductive for some women. And while some may think that high-value men do this intentionally, there are some reasons behind our psychology of ignoring women. Number 1. They are too busy living a life of purpose. Many high-value men are living a life of pursuing or living out their purpose. They're not interested in settling down or following the conventional path. They want to find their own way in life, and won't let anyone get in their way. This can often be seen as being self-centered or egotistical. However, these men just want to live their life doing things their way, on their own terms. They're not going to let anyone try and control them, or tell them what to do. They often have a strong sense of who they are, and they're very independent thinkers. They don't require anyone to take care of them or tell them what to do. These men are oftentimes risk-takers and can easily adapt to change. They're always looking for new adventures, and are not afraid to step out of their comfort zone. This can be seen as reckless behavior, however these men just don't want to live a boring and uninteresting life. Having a groupthink mentality is not something that interests them. Working on themselves could take all their time and effort, and they might not have much energy left for a partner. They're too busy living out their purpose in life to be preoccupied about settling down into a relationship. They often ignore women since they're just not a priority for them at that present moment. For these men, knowing who they are and what they want takes precedence over anything else. Number 2. They enjoy their freedom. High-value men are free-spirited people, who don't want to be tied down by anyone or anything. They're not looking for anything that may restrict their freedom. They enjoy living life to the fullest extent and being around others with similar interests, without any negative discernment or controlling behavior. This isn't to say that they're 100% against relationships, however they're not going to be in one just for the hell of it. They want to be with someone who will add to their life, not take away from it. They're not going to waste their time and energy on something they don't see as worth it in the long run. Being in a relationship with a control freak or someone always demanding their time and energy is not going to be attractive to them. This doesn't mean they don't want a partner, however they want to be with someone who will complement their lifestyle, not complicate it. So they oftentimes prefer to ignore high-maintenance or demanding women, ultimately saving them a lot of time and energy. Number 3. They relish in their solitude. While some may view this as being lonely or sad, high-value men love their time alone. They're not interested in being around people all the time, and oftentimes feel drained after being around others for too long a period of time. They would much rather spend time by themselves so they can rejuvenate and refresh. This doesn't mean that these men are hermits. It just simply means that sometimes they prefer their own company. They're not going to force themselves to be around others if they're not in the mood to do so. They oftentimes choose to ignore women who are consistently trying to gain their attention. They're also not going to be interested in a woman who is always needy or clingy. They need their space, and need a woman that's comfortable enough to give them that space. While these men are often perceived as aloof and distant, the reality is they're just reserved. They don't need to be around people all the time to feel satisfied and fulfilled. In fact, being around too many people for too long can actually make them feel overwhelmed and frustrated. This is not to say they want to spend their entire lives alone, however, it's just that they usually only invest time in the relationships they truly value. And it's because of this, they do tend to ignore women, either out of a lack of interest or a shortage of time. Number 4. Divas and princesses do nothing for them. A man of high value will not be impressed by a woman who is trying too hard to become something they're not. They can see through the front, and will not be deceived by it. They would much rather spend their time with someone honest and authentic. If a woman is putting on an act or trying to pretend like she's better than who she is, these men are likely to just ignore her. This type of behavior is a massive turn-off for high-value men, since they value honesty and integrity. They want to be with a woman who is real and down to earth. The world is full of people trying to put on a phony persona. Everything from fake friends to gold diggers, a true high-value man has seen it all. They're not going to be involved with someone who's just trying to play mind games or take advantage of them. While some people may see this as being distant or cold, these men are just being cautious. They're not interested at all in being around these types of people. Many fake divas and princesses are constantly trying to appear to be perfect on the outside, by sporting expensive jewelry, making up their face, and being dressed to the nines in designer clothes. However, on the inside, they're often self-conscious and unhappy. And while this look oftentimes impresses the average guy, it's not going to impress a true man of high value. Number 5. They have been burned before. While men of high value may not show it, they oftentimes have trust issues. They've probably been hurt in the past and won't let themselves be hurt again. So they often build up walls, making it difficult for people to break through. This doesn't mean that these men are bad people. It just means they're very guarded about their lives. They're not going to let just anyone into their life without properly vetting them beforehand. They want to be sure that someone is worthy of their trust before they let them in completely. Many people see these sorts of men as being aloof and cold, however, the reality is they just don't want to get hurt. They would rather keep their guard up, instead of risk getting hurt emotionally by a woman. They're not going to let their guard down easily or be quick to give their heart away either. When a high-value man spots even the slightest hint of distrust, they quickly pull away and distance themselves. They prefer a life of solitude, rather than being with someone who always gives them suspicious signals. It's not that they're paranoid, they just don't want to take any chances when it comes to their emotions. Number 6. They don't have time or energy for pointless drama. A man of high value will not waste his time on a woman who is consistently creating drama. They're not interested in playing mind games or dealing with manipulation of any sort. This isn't to say that they don't want a passionate mate with a strong personality, however, they want someone who knows how to control their emotions. They want someone level-headed, who can also handle their own life without always needing someone else to uplift them. So if she is always causing drama or constantly being clingy, a man of high value will likely ignore her. While some people might see this as heartless or unsympathetic, he is simply being pragmatic. They understand that getting involved with someone who is always causing drama is just going to be a nuisance. They would rather avoid the drama and focus on more positive things in their life. Many people see a man of high value as being emotionally distant. However, the reality is that they're just not interested in getting involved with someone who is going to add unnecessary drama to their life. Their indifference towards these kinds of women is simply a self-preservation mechanism. Number 7. They don't need or require validation from women. High-value men are not the type of guys who are desperate for attention or validation from women. They're not going to change their appearance or personality just to impress her. They're good enough just the way they are, and don't need validation from anyone. Women often try to use their femininity as a way to control and manipulate men. However, this doesn't work with these men. They won't be swayed by a woman's beauty or sex appeal. While they may be attracted to a beautiful woman, they won't be blinded by her looks. They don't chase after women trying to win their approval. They know their own worth and don't base their self-esteem on other people's opinions. Instead of attention-seeking behavior, high-value men often appear aloof or even detached. This is because they don't need validation from anyone to feel good about themselves. Many women mistake this for arrogance, however it's just being self-assured. Number 8. They are simply uninterested in women. This is probably the most common reason why high-value men ignore women. They're just not that into her. It's not that she's doing anything wrong. These men just don't find any particular woman interesting or attractive. Men of high value are oftentimes very picky when it comes to women. They don't want to waste their time and energy on someone they're not interested in. This doesn't mean that these men are shallow. They just know what they want. And if a woman doesn't meet their standards, then they're not going to bother with her. A man of high value is often looking for a challenge. They want an independent woman who stimulates them physically and intellectually. They're not going to be interested in a woman who always tries to please them, or agrees with everything they say. They want a woman who is her own person, and has her own thoughts and opinions. A woman that they can learn from, and not someone who is just going to try to impress them. Otherwise they'll just get bored and move on. Instead of forcing themselves to like her, they'd rather just ignore her and focus on something else.